everyone.
Hello, hello. Welcome to Babylon Balkan Show. Hello,
And
Dushan.
hello, Onat. And today we have new episode and new guest. What a surprise. And this guest is unique as all the guests we had by now. And he comes from Croatia originally, but he lives abroad. He will tell us where he lives. And he is a sports person. He is a Paralympian. He also competed in European World Championships and Paralympics. We won't tell which sport he will tell us, but we can at least tell it has to do with Summer Paralympics. Besides this, he studied and also works in communications in public affairs, and in general is a knowledgeable guy and a really funny guy as well. So we hope you'll enjoy the episode.
Please also tell his name so I won't butcher the name.
No, that's also a secret. No,
Oh,
kidding.
okay.
Matija Grebenic. Yeah, Matija Grebenic. Thank you for reminding me on it. Matija Grebenic from Zagreb originally.
Yeah, I will tell also, but I'm mostly butchering the Slavic names, so
I took it for
I
you this
want
time.
to. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this episode will be very interesting because we are planning to talk about how is to be a Paralympian and also to compete in the Paralympics, which I really don't have any information in knowledge, and it will be very informative for me. Also, we will talk about being a disability person in the Balkans, especially in the sports, uh, and also about his work in International Paralympics Committee in Bonn, Germany.
So you spoiled it actually. You
Yeah.
actually said the spoiler. Nevertheless, yeah,
Oh yeah. Sorry.
people will like it. Nevertheless, enjoy the show and let's start with our intro.
Yes. Let's go.
Our newest guest. Welcome, Matija.
Hello. Hello.
Hello,
Hello,
guys. How
Matija.
are you?
It's a pleasure to have you today with us. You are a really unique guy from my experience and meeting you back in Belgrade years ago. And we wanted to make this episode for some time from now. Am we right on it?
Yeah, it was in our list for a long time.
Yes, and we are really happy to have you today. Usually, when we start, it's already famous thing in our show that we ask a few questions that are just icebreakers, classical icebreakers. And on it, if you may start with our.
Okay.
Yeah.
I usually ask in this part of the show, what is the top three things on your bucket list and why?
Oof, we start with the hard one. That's actually a good question. I was thinking about this like a month ago or something.
Oh.
Top three things on my bucket list are I want to travel to countries I've been while I was a swimmer, because when you're a swimmer, you only see the hotel, the airport, and the swimming pool. So I want to go again to Brazil, to Iceland, to all those wonderful countries. Number two would be, hmm, oh yeah, I want to be the director of football club Dinamo Zagreb. That's always
Oh,
been my dream.
Okay.
One day, hopefully. And
Are you from
number
Herzegovina?
three,
Sorry, are you from Herzegovina?
no, sadly no. So that's a big minus, but we'll
we'll
see.
come. We'll come to this later on. We'll explain this to you. Don't worry.
okay.
Yeah. And number three, honestly, at the moment, I'm very happy with how my career is going, and I want it to. I want to make more impact in the world with what I'm doing at the moment.
Yeah, sounds nice. And before I come to my question on it, there's a thing in Zagreb. If you really want to succeed, either in business, politics, sports, wherever, when you're from Herzegovina, and Croat from Herzegovina, of course, then you have like a higher chance. It's a stereotype which often proven is true. So that's the also a joke and
Yeah.
sadly sometimes true. Or for some people, it's a good thing.
So, but what is special about that?
Oh, we need to have a special episode about this.
I don't think 2 hours would be enough to cover it.
Okay, then.
Not at all. But yeah, but good idea for an episode, nevertheless. Regarding a question from my side, also typical. If you saw some episodes before, Matija, you could have prepared. So here comes the also maybe tough one for you. When you were little, what did you want to be when you grow up? Besides president of Sport Club of Dinamo.
When I was little, like all the kids, you want to be a police officer, you want to be a firefighter, you want to be a veterinarian. So nothing out of the order, basically. Although I had to come like to a conclusion that I really cannot be a police officer or a firefighter. Veterinarian, but it would have been tricky. So yeah, I opted into a different career path in the end.
And you said you're happy and you look forward to more challenges and more development in your career. So yeah, we are happy that you are happy with your choice.
Yeah, I'm happy because the stuff that we're doing in the IPC, we're actually making a difference, and it's something, it's palpable. It's something that you can see, that you can feel, and after every Paralympic Games. So I'm really happy with that.
Just for our audience to know, IPC is
IPC is the International Paralympic Committee.
Yeah, we'll come to this later on since it's most relevant thing that you're doing right now. But at the beginning, we would like to start, as you mentioned, the beginning sports. And as we also mentioned in the intro, and you said Paralympics, it's more than obvious that you're a Paralympian, that you're a person with disability. And our aim is in this episode to know a little bit more about people with disabilities and how they compete, how they perform in their daily life and doing sports. I'm guessing lots of people already know to some extent and how people have difficult time with disabilities, especially in the Balkans, unfortunately. But in terms of sports, it's not so often. I honestly have one of my friend from Bosnia. She's a female alpine skier, Ilma Kazazic, and I know her and I know you, but not so many people, sadly. So, first question off out of the blue is how did you develop yourself in doing sports in general? You mentioned swimming, so
Yeah.
just the
So
background. Yeah.
I was a swimmer, a fairly good one. I did it for 15, 16 years. How did I start? That's an excellent question. I was super scared of water. We would go on a vacation, I don't know, for 10 days, 14 days, whatever, and I would spend like 13 days on the beach, not entering the sea. I was terrified of the water. And my mom was sick of it, and she just basically took me in, put me in the water. You swim now. Basic Balkan mom. Yeah. So I mean, it is what it is. Yeah. So I was terrified of the water, but on one of my not a doctor's appointment, I went to an orthopedist because I was scheduled to make new orthoprosthetic legs for me.
Mhm.
And there I met Anna Sršen, who was also there for her service of her leg. She's a famous Croatian Paralympian, and she gave me her phone number and told me, "Why don't you try swimming?" And yeah, I think I was first first year elementary school. I'm from Trešnjevka, and most of my class was either into hockey or swimming because Dom Sportova is near our school.
Mhm.
And yeah, so hockey is not really my thing, obviously. So I decided to try swimming, and yeah, that's how I got into it. I slowly learned how to swim. I trained like, I don't know, you start 2 times a week or something. Then it goes to 3 times a week. Then it goes to 5 times a week. Then you end up at 9 or 10 times a week. And yeah, it grew on me. And as when I trained a lot, the results came. I had really good results. and I was like, yeah, well, why not try and go pro and try to do my best, and that's how I ended up swimming at the Paralympic Games.
Interesting. Sorry for the beginning, just for our audience, could you share your disability if possible, just
Yeah,
for
yeah,
them to
sure.
understand?
So,
Yeah.
uh, okay, to not go full medical on
No, no,
the,
no
the
need. Just
listeners and
yeah.
viewers, yeah, so it's tibia aplasia and malformations of extremities, meaning I don't have tibias in my legs. Those are those bones that you actually stand on, so I don't have them. That therefore I use orthoprosthetics. And also like some malformation of extremities. I have 4 fingers on my left arm, hand, and 2 fingers are on my right hand, and that's more or less it. And yeah, that's the gist of it. I use orthoprosthetics and a wheelchair when needed.
Mhm. Got it. And you mentioned you started to training at your local sport club, I guess. Did you train regularly? No, any discrimination between other swimmers, or how was it?
Uh, it was interesting. I mean, it was 1998, a long time ago. My mom tried to sign me up for swim classes in several clubs. They all rejected me because I had a severe disability. And back then, you didn't have a swimming club for people with disabilities. And therefore, I think like 3 clubs said no. And one professor of kinesiology, who's a great guy, actually said, "Why don't you come here? Like, we're not a professional swim club, but we have like, I don't know, 10 kids there that he's teaching how to swim. You can swim here." And that's how it started. Um, then it evolved a bit, and then I transferred to Zagreb Swim Club. That's also a swim club for people without disabilities and, let's say, with disabilities. And in the end, honestly, I think that's what made me a good swimmer, because I always wanted to beat the kids without disabilities. You never want to be last in anything, and that's something that motivated me. And I think in the long run, that's something that made me a better swimmer and a more competitive person. Later on in my career, I transferred to the swim club Natator.
Hmm.
That's a swim club that Anna Sršan, after she finished her career, she founded the club. And that's a club that not only accepts people with disabilities, but also, like, I think most of the members are people with disabilities, but it's a very inclusive club. I think it's 70-30 or 60-40. So 60% of swimmers do have some disability, but 40% do not,
Hmm.
which is something that I really like, because that inclusion is the most important part. Because as I said, when I started, like, 3 clubs rejected me, and I can't blame them. Like, I would be the first disabled person that they would see. The coaches didn't know what to do with me, and it's not that they had any bad stuff or whatever. They were just probably scared and didn't know what to do. And it's just this entire, like, Paralympic sports and sports with people with disabilities and the problems of people with disabilities, it all comes down to education, and they didn't have the education. And yeah, so now in 2023, I'm happy that things are changing and that
Good.
people are getting more educated about it. Um, so Zagreb has a faculty of kinesiology, and for the last couple of years, I think 4 or 5 years, sports with disabilities is one of the courses taught at the faculty.
Great.
So that's something that so any future coaches that want to go into sports know how to at least know the basics of sports with for people with disabilities.
That's really good.
I like how you explained. Lots of people would just judge and say, "Ah, they were being mean and stuff," but most likely they are some of them. But most of them are, as you said, just didn't have the education and they were afraid of making some mistake or whatever. And it's not them to blame; it's the system in the end. So,
Yeah, and like as I said, back then we only had like 2 swimming pools in Zagreb. The third one was Shalata, but that one is only open during the summer. So when you have limited resources like that, and you put a very slow swimmer in a group that's clogging up your lane, it's not they lacked resources like education, but also like the space in the pools themselves. Afterwards, we opened swimming pool Utrina back in 2004. Now they also have swimming pool Svetice, and I think 2 more swimming pools opened in the meantime. So there are a lot more lanes open. So of course, there are a lot more people swimming.
I understand. Good to hear that it's improving and that they have more lanes, as you said. Are there specific lanes dedicated for people with disabilities, or just more lanes in general? Or
No. More lanes in general. Like
mm-hmm.
you, as a club, have to buy the time slots for your end lanes for your club, and then you distribute them with your team.
I understand. And I also like when you mentioned what motivated you is like they don't have disabilities. I will show them that I can do it. It's like typical Balkan inat mentality, which I love, and yeah, it's really good driving force.
Yeah, always has been.
And also, I noticed you mentioned your mom. I'm guessing she was your biggest support in your family. How would you call besides your motivation itself? When you competed with other guys, who gave you support besides your family, and how much it meant to you to proceed with the sport that you were doing?
My parents were crazy, honestly. Like the stuff they pulled out
In a
to
good way,
to
right?
yeah,
Okay,
in the
okay.
best way
Just
possible.
in case.
Yeah. But you have to be a little crazy to do all that, because like when I was born, I was the first person in Europe that's known to have walked with this diagnosis. No one walked with it before me. And I don't need prosthetics. I don't need orthotics. I need orthoprosthetics. So they are a combination of both. In the Croatian law system, in healthcare system, you didn't have a code for that, so they wouldn't. The Croatian health insurance wouldn't pay for it because it officially doesn't exist. So my parents had to sue the government in order for that to be involved in the healthcare system, so I could walk in Croatia. So my first couple of prosthetics were made in Germany because no one in Croatia knew how to do them. But yeah, so if it weren't for my parents like driving me to swim classes at like 6:30 in the morning, driving me to school afterwards, and pulling all that weight when I was a small kid, I probably wouldn't be here where I am right now. So yeah, they were super supportive, and also my friends from elementary and high school, they were always supportive, and yeah, I owe a lot to them.
That's good to hear. And
Is it now recognized in the government side?
Yeah. Now it is like, but yeah, as I said, my parents had to sue the government, and the government lost at High Court of Croatia. So now so afterwards they had to add the codes for that in the healthcare system.
So we can say they not only support you, they also support a lot of people in that way.
Exactly. And that's like, yeah, we'll talk about the status in the Balkans and people with disabilities later on, but it's not often to see people go the extra mile to do something like that.
Got it. But it's really remarkable that you succeeded in so. I'm guessing based on your will and based on the support of your surroundings. It's really a remarkable thing. And again, the government itself, you said they didn't have the code for itself or didn't define it. But later on, as you continued to doing sports and competing more and more, did you have support in terms of financially speaking and doing your competitions? Spoiler alert, you did a lot of competitions for our audience to know, and you can start naming them.
Yeah, I went to several world championships and European championships, and I attended one Paralympic Games in 2012 in London. But yeah, like afterwards we had some support, but it's always like, when you get the medals, the politicians come, they take a photo with you, give you your hand, yeah, and tell you you're awesome. We always cheer for you. But before the medal, when you actually need support, no one's there. Let's be honest, no one's there. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I got some money from the Croatian Paralympic Committee, like, or Croatian government, whatever. You get a stipend depending on how good you are. the amount is, I mean, it's fine when you're a kid, 15-year-old kid. 200 euros is amazing.
True.
That's amazing. When you're 24, it's a little less amazing. So yeah,
It doesn't
it
change.
really depends.
It doesn't.
Yeah, it depends on how good you are. So if
Oh.
you are top 3 in the world, then you get, I think, around 900 to 1,000 euros a month, which is decent.
Well, you're competing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But if you're not top 3 in the world, you're getting like 400 euros tops, 500, let's say. That's it. And honestly, in swimming, like, we don't need a lot of equipment, but we do need some. So my
Only depends. Underpants, right?
yeah,
Swimming.
like my swimsuit, which you can use for like 2 or 3 races tops, is 500 euros.
Why?
So you see the problem.
Why so? So just a couple of races? Is there a
The
law or
material just
material?
wears off. The water gets in, and it's not as good. Like, you can use it for more races, of course, and I use them like afterwards for all older suits for like state championships or something, smaller competitions. But you cannot go to a world championship in an older suit. Like, you just lose time with old worn out materials.
I never knew this. Interesting.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, if you remember, if you know anything about swimming, Ian Thorpe, an Australian Olympic swimmer back in the days, he was huge, and he wore those full suits that were allowed back then. Now they're not, which you have a full sleeve also. And they, after each race, they had to cut the suit off him because he was so huge that he couldn't take it off. Because when you get in the water, it's so tight, it pulls your muscles. You cannot move afterwards. So after every single race, and dude had like millions of races. After every single race, he had to cut the entire suit off him and put on the new one.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's insane. Yeah, and I never thought about this. Yeah, interesting, really. And you mentioned the financing in swimming. You don't need much, so to say, but still you need something,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, you need something. You need, like, let's say one suit is 500 euros around. And I get, like, I don't know, 1 or 2 suits from the Paralympic Committee per year. And I have like a European Championship, World Championship, and maybe, let's say, Paralympic Games in the same year.
Whoa.
I really need more than 2 suits because, like, you have the qualifications and then you have the finals in the afternoon. So those are 2 races per discipline. And I swam like 50, 100, 200 freestyle, 50 backstroke, and sometimes medley. So I had at least like 4 different events that I had to swim, qualifications, and then the finals if I was fast enough. So that's like, let's say, 6 to 8 races per championship. And yeah, you get the math.
And you're presenting your country there if you when the flag will rise.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean,
And
Croatians will be super proud of it. Yeah. And as I said, after you win the medal, you come to Zagreb airport. All the politicians come to you, congratulate you. Yeah, we always knew you would do it. But yeah, they always give you, they always show up for the photo op, but the support that you need to get to the medal is, basically not there.
Sadly, it's the same everywhere in our
Yeah.
region. And you said like 6 to 8 just for one competition, and one suit lasts 2 to 3 times tops, and they gave you 2 per year. So basically, they give you only for one competition.
More or less, yeah.
Wow. That's insane. And I'm guessing in the West it's much better.
It is better. It's not a lot better because Paralympic sports is still underfunded compared to Olympic sports, but it's getting there. Like, it's better now in Croatia, as I'm talking to current swimmers. And yeah, if you're winning medals at the World Championships, you're getting everything you want. So that's better. But if you're like a mid-range swimmer like me, let's say, so I'm getting into finals but not getting medals at the World Championship, it's tricky to survive.
Oh, yeah.
So you need some support from yourself.
That's yeah, basically.
Did you have any sponsors or whatever?
Nope.
Oh.
Not personal sponsors. Like, the Croatian Paralympic Committee has sponsors, but personal sponsors don't that wasn't really a thing back when I was swimming. Like only the best swimmers had them. Now it's slowly changing, and people are investing and donating more to Paralympic sports, which is great, even in Croatia. And it really makes me happy that the kids don't have to go through what we had to go through, like us, the first or second generations of Croatian Paralympians.
Well, that's good to hear that there's a positive change. And yeah, fortunately, at least you paved the way for the next generation. You can
Yeah,
say to
exactly.
yourself, yeah. And when you were traveling internationally, did the committee sponsor at least that?
Yeah. So everything was paid. Flights, hotels, everything was
Okay.
always paid. So yeah, they fully paid that.
And I'm guessing they did the same for other Paralympians, right?
Yeah. So I think the Paralympic Committee finances all the world championships, European championships. Not sure about all the World Cups. For us, they did, but like maybe one or two per year. So in swimming, I think now the World Series has like 6 competitions. And I get, because some get really expensive. Like they can pay you to go to Manchester, they can pay you to go to Italy, but there are also competitions in the States and Australia, and those are super pricey, like flying from Croatia to Australia and a hotel there. So I get that you cannot go to all 6, which is okay. Like you would have to have a lot of money, a lot of resources to pull that off. And I don't think even the United States, who are the richest probably country when it comes to Paralympic sports, I don't think they even go to all 6 World Series. So yeah.
Oh, I would never imagine that.
So these are actually all because of the economy of that sport.
Yeah, and like the competitions are very near each other. So if you're like from Australia or from the States, and you have like one competition in Minneapolis, then you have a competition in Brisbane, let's say, and then you have like 4 competitions in Europe with 2 weeks or 3 weeks apart. It doesn't really make sense for you to fly your team to, let's say, Berlin, then fly them back to States, then 10 days later they fly to Manchester, then fly them back, then fly to Italy. So they either stay for like 2 competitions and then go back, but it's like it's very expensive to have your entire team for in Europe for like a month and a half for competitions.
Why they are not more organized? I mean, in other sports, like the competitions are uh, very well organized in the according to the calendar and the times.
I think it's okay. Honestly, I don't have a problem with it, because like aiming for all 4 or 6 whatever World Series championships is really difficult. And honestly, if all the swimmers went to all the competitions, like the competitions would last for weeks. It would be too long, honestly, because when you
Mhm.
have yeah, let's say in swimming you have 10 classes of physical disability, so it's from S1 to S10. S1 is the most severe disability, S10 is the least severe disability. Let's say S10 is you're missing one hand, and that's it, like only your fist is missing, that's it. And S1 is very severe, they usually swim only with one arm or maybe two, but very slowly. So it's like I was in the middle, I was S5.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have like all those events with 10 categories only with physical disabilities, you also have like from S11 to S13, it's blind and visually impaired people. And then you have S14, which is I think, mentally impaired people. So you have like 14 categories
Mm-hmm.
of swimmers, and when they each have to go through, let's say, 50 freestyle, it takes a long time.
Oh.
So if you have like 600 or let's say 400 swimmers for every single one of those competitions, it would just be too much. So
Mhm.
in this way they spread out a bit. Let's say European countries go to one competition outside of Europe, uh, American countries go to one competition outside of America, and it balances out.
And you mentioned it goes from S1 to S10, and plus for impaired people, mentally and blind ones.
Mm-hmm.
And you said you were in the middle. Do you compete only in your class, or there's like a mixing, or no? Just like
Well, of in official competitions, so World Cups, Continental Cups, and Paralympic Games, you compete with your class, and that's it. When you compete in smaller championships, let's say, I don't know, Championship of Zagreb or something, if there are not enough of people in classes, then they can mix it up and call it an MD class. And then they compare. So it's not by time, because that would be unfair for me to swim against someone with only one fist missing. Then they compare your result to how further, who is the furthest or who is the closest to the world record in your class, and that's how they measure your value your result.
Oh, okay, that sounds fair.
Yeah, I mean, classification in Paralympic sports is a very complicated thing, really complicated, and it's always someone will always complain about it. Like, was I happy that I was in S5 and maybe not S4? Not really. Like, but I was also S6 for some time, so that was terrible for me. So when they put me down to S5, that was manageable. But yeah, it tries to be fair, and that's the most important part, because there are so many different disabilities that you cannot, if you put them all in separate classes, you would have 100 classes, and the competitions would last forever. So this really is the best way to do it.
Yeah, you're right. I can imagine people cannot have really S5, S6 because there are lots of differences, small differences, but that make big changes. And trying to cluster them in only 10 classes, it's difficult. As you said, if you were in S6, meaning that you're like by their standards lighter disabled, so to say, by quotation. But in the end, you were competing with people that didn't have so much difficult time as you would. But in S5, you were in a better position.
In S5 it was okay, yeah. But yeah, they classify you during competitions. They measure like your hands, your arms, your everything. They see and they monitor you during competitions. So if you're under 18, where you're still growing and developing, they tend to put you in a higher class. But when you're like over 18 or closer to 18, let's say, then they used to check you out again, and you had the reclassification every, I think, 2 years or something. So they really monitored you, and if they saw that you're struggling in the higher classes, they would put you in the lower class. Or if they saw that you're like in S4 and breaking all the world records, then you go to reclassification to see if they missed something, and they bumped you into a higher class.
Sorry, it was funny for me for a moment. Like, okay, if they see like, oh, this guy is too good, no, get him back.
I mean, yeah, not like that, but it does happen. Like, people do lie during classification. They forge their medical documentation. I think it happened in, I don't know, maybe in 2000 or 2004, one Paralympic Games, where one team in wheelchair basketball, they lied. They weren't disabled.
Ooh, I read
They
somewhere.
put able-bodied people in wheelchair, and they lied that they were disabled, and they won a medal. Afterwards, it was discovered they were stripped of medals, of course, but people lie. Like, there's doping in Olympic Games, but there's also doping in Paralympic Games. People would do anything to get the result, and therefore they also might lie during classification.
Were there cases, since you mentioned doping, and we know who is the world famous concerning doping, Russia? So, the sports, in terms of sport people, do they also find some doping cases in Paralympics, or they just automatically?
Yeah.
Okay, they found.
Yeah, of course. We have the anti-doping committee, and of course you have to. They test you randomly. If you're, of course, they're connected with countries' anti-doping agencies as well. So if you're very good, like my friend currently is, he was third in Tokyo Games in swimming. You're always on their list, and they can always randomly come. You have to give them a schedule at the beginning of each year, when and where you are approximately. And then they can just show up at the swimming pool at 7 a.m. one morning. And if you're not there, if you're missing practice because of a test or an exam at your college, they call you, and you have, like, I don't know, an hour to appear, and you have to get there. And then you have to give the urine sample, and they test you randomly. Yeah.
Wow. It's like that also in other sports, like other professional sports, I guess, globally.
Yeah. I mean, the Olympic system is the same.
The same.
If you're at the top, then you're listed, and they can test you anytime they want.
I can imagine so many activities that I can be involved with when they just come, like in a toilet with my girlfriend or wherever, and they just pop up and like, hey,
Yeah. I mean, they are flexible. They can
okay.
come to your house. They can come to your swimming pool, whatever they come. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're not there, they call you with
Mm-hmm.
the number you provided, and you have to come. I think you can miss like one or two, but if you miss 3 times, then you're automatically suspended.
Mm-hmm.
But don't quote me on that. I'm not sure how the procedure is now.
Yeah, but still, never heard about this. Very, very, very exciting.
It also means that as an athlete, you have a schedule for a whole year.
Hmm.
That is really tough to think about. I mean, I don't know what to do next month.
It's not. It's amazing. Trust me. Trust me. It's amazing. So yeah, my schedule was when I was in college. Let's say, if you're a professional athlete in Croatia, if you're the category number one, meaning you're great,
Mm-hmm.
you have to go to only 10% of your college classes, and that's it. And you get 10% when you go to like your first week of semester, and that's it. Maybe 2 weeks. So you know your schedule in advance. I know that my training was from 7 till 9. Gym was from 9 to 10, and back in the afternoon, gym was from let's say 4 to 5, and no, 5 to 6, and swimming was from 6 to 8 p.m. You know your schedule, and you have to do it every single day. If they come there and you're not there, if you're sick, whatever, they call you. If I'm sick and can't get out of my house, they come to your house, but they have to take your sample.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
And that's something actually that I missed when I stopped swimming, and that gets you really depressed when you stop like professionally doing sports.
Mhm.
The
I
structure.
thought the anxiety, like, ooh,
No.
I need
The,
to.
the 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 structure. You
Oh,
know
okay.
what you have to do, and you have a strict schedule, and you stick to it. And then like when you stop doing it, you're a bit lost. Like that structure, that schedule is gone, and it took some time, let's say, for me to find myself afterwards, to get some motivation, to get some self-discipline afterwards. It's not that easy, because when you're on a schedule, it sounds terrible, but it's actually easy. Like, you have to do it. You've been doing it for years, and it's just second nature to you.
You have a purpose, so to say.
Yeah.
It's no question about it. Yeah, I can relate to you. Like after I finished my bachelor studies, I was like, okay, all time good grades, going out, having some plans, doing internships, blah blah blah, and it all ended. I was like, oh, I need to restructure everything now. Like, okay, I need to restart. Okay, thinking about career, actually doing it, and all the other stuff. It was just also. I also did sports to some extent, same professional. Also had schedules, also had gyms and trainings in terms of basketball. But yeah, I can yeah resonate with what you said. And
Yeah, like you stop
mhm,
and you wake up one morning, and it's like, now what do I do now? Like, there's no one telling me what to do. Like, there's no coach telling you have to be at swimming pool there and there,
mhm,
and it's all up to you. And it sounds like great. On one side, you have the freedom. You can go out clubbing. You don't have to go home at like 9 p.m. because you have practice at Saturday morning.
mhm,
But on the other hand, like, you're a bit, it feels like like my mom when she taught me how to swim, like someone threw you out in the ocean and left you there.
mhm,
And yeah, you do you, buddy, after 15 years of structured life.
mhm. Good comparison. You mentioned clubbing. That's among the place where we met. So
Yep.
for audience to know, through our mutual friend, yeah, friends, Franca, and yeah, just a hi to them.
Yep.
Um, what you said also, that preparation, the hard work, gym, and everything. Uh, so and you had a schedule. How was it all those years to prepare? How did you prepare for the sports, for the competition? How did it go, the travel there, the competing and coming back, the whole process of itself? If you can explain it in 1 year of competing, especially like the one when you went to London, for instance.
Sure. So let's say swimming season starts when school starts, so September, more or less. And the your main competition is usually during the summer. So let's say from June, July, or maybe September, the latest. That's it. So you start in September in swimming. If you have an old school coach like I did, you start with heavy kilometer training. So you do like 5-6 kilometers per training to build up the strength and everything. And then during mid-year you go a little bit easier, but you do more sprints. And then before the competition you have something great that's called taper. All swimmers love it, and that's the, let's say, it's very subjective to each individual swimmer. It depends how much rest you need before the competition itself. So my friend, she was an amazing swimmer. She did not go well with rest, so her tupper was usually like maybe 3 days of easier swimming before the competition. So like a week before the competition she was still destroying the swimming pool, like training hard as hell. I was not that like that, thankfully. So I had like maybe 10 to 14 days before the competition where I would have taper, which means like you drop down from, like, let's say 4 kilometers of heavy training to maybe 1.5 kilometer of easy swimming, just to ease it out, to rest a bit before the competition. Um, and yeah, we had like swimming 2 times a day, every single day. On Saturday you would have one training, and we had gym 3 times a week as well, 3 days a week. And yeah, that was it. You just swim, go to the gym, sleep in between practices, go to the afternoon practice again, and yeah, that's it. And then you go to the competition. We usually got there, I don't know, 2 or 3 days earlier, which is great if it's in Europe, which is terrible if it's not in Europe. I usually don't have problems with jet lag, but the World Championship in Canada, in Montreal, really destroyed me. I couldn't sleep for like a full week when we arrived there. I was so jet lagged because I think then my coach was so mad at me. Because of the jet lag and everything, the time difference. In qualifications, I swam a lot faster than in the finals because I just couldn't. My mind was still in Europe time, and I was like dead at the evening finals. I barely got to the end, and my coach was like, "What was that? Like, why did you swim so much faster in the morning?" And I was like, "Sorry, dude. Like, jet lag destroyed me."
The morning was probably the regular day for you in Europe,
Yeah,
and when it
yeah,
came in the
exactly.
evening, yeah.
I was dead, but it happens. But other than that, like, yeah, the trips were always fun. You don't see a lot, as I said. Like, you mostly see the hotel, the airport, and the swimming pool. But here and there, you go on a little trip around town, and yeah, swimming was great because I met a lot of people, a lot of friends all over the world. I'm still in contact with them, so yeah, that's a nice aspect of the sports.
That's really great. And do you
Do
get?
you have any pre-competition superstitions
Mm.
like rituals?
Um, Not really. I'm just trying to think of any. Like, I was very chill, and I was never nervous, which was a good thing. But oh, I always had music on. Basically, when in the call room before the race, I would always have music on. Please don't ask me what music because I would
Oh,
embarrass
okay.
myself. But it's something very similar
Is
to
it
those
Psyche?
Belgrade nightclubs.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah, got it. Yeah,
Yep.
turbo
But
folk.
yeah, I loved music, but that's mostly it. I wasn't really superstitious. Like, my friend was super superstitious. Yeah, he was like, he had to always put on his right sock first and then his left sock before the competition and stuff like that.
Okay, that's weird. Um, I wanted to ask you one really specific question based on my semi-professional experience doing basketball. Well, because I'm not so tall, and for basketball you need to be tall at least to some extent. I don't know, 1 meter 90, and I'm 170 and plus. Uh, and I was always motivating, as you mentioned at the beginning, like when I'm playing with people that are not disabled, to give my best. I was motivated when I was playing against tall people, like really a lot. And I was not afraid at all. I was really into it. I was the most afraid when I played with a guy that was similar height to me, because I know the mentality. I know this guy is tough. I know what he's going through. Do you feel the same when you're competing with the guys from the same class, or similar to you? Like, or
Uh,
there's a difference?
Not really, and that's like that's something that I missed in swimming. Honestly, the mind games, the stuff that you can shit talk your opponents into or stuff like that. Because in swimming, the stopwatch doesn't lie. You're yeah, swimming is like a competition and you swim against other people, but basically you're swimming against yourself and the stopwatch, and that's it. Like nothing the person next to me can say to me before the race that would ever impact me. Like I was really cold before the race. I couldn't care less what other people were doing around me. And that's something like I'm sorry that I didn't do any team sports or anything, because I think I would be amazing at that and people would hate me. But yeah, I would enjoy shit talking others like MJ and Kobe did.
That's really
It
cool.
also exists in other branches, right? I mean, we only see on the football and basketball, but the other sports looks more sterile for in the TV.
Yeah.
But it also exists in.
Yeah, I mean, you have it in fight sports as well, like martial
Oh
arts,
yeah.
boxing, whatever. But those are all sports that, like, one stroke of genius, one moment of genius can
Mhm.
turn the tides. Like, you can score a goal, a basket, whatever. You can have a lucky punch, and that's it. In the pool, it's a bit different. Like, it's like athletics. It's like racing. Yeah, people are around you, but like if you do your best and the stopwatch doesn't lie, it's gonna be the same. Like let's say for example, I was very good at 200 freestyle. So one of the exercises for training for 200 freestyle is you swim 4 times 200 freestyle with 10 seconds in between. So you go 200 meters, 10 seconds of pause, 200 meters, and that 4 times. And I could, when I was still swimming, that was 20 kilos ago, you could, I mean, I could always tell you what time I swam. Like I swim the 200, I pull my head up and I tell the coach it was 3:05, and he says yes, it was 3:05, because you know how fast you did. I knew how many strokes I needed for every single lane
Mhm.
during that 200 meters. It's just something that's in you,
Mm.
and it's not luck or anything. Like yeah, I can get lucky and my opponent can slip at the start, but that's it. Like I don't have any influence over him like you do in sports, other sports.
Yeah, you're just focused in your lane and you give your best, and let's see what happens in the end. You just get
Yeah.
programmed, as you said, like you
Yeah.
know the strokes, you got your body well trained, and
You knew the
basically,
scientific recipe.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, as my coach said, like you don't win medals at the competitions. You win medals at training. You just collect the medals at the
Uh-huh.
competition, and that's it.
yeah, true. Speaking about medals, we all know Michael Phelps, the one that got the most medals. I honestly don't know who is the best one in terms of swimming in Paralympics. Yeah.
Uh, it's probably a guy from my class, Daniel Diaz, a Brazilian dude. I
Uh-huh.
think he has like over 20 Paralympic medals.
Phew. Oh,
He
that's.
retired after Tokyo.
Mm.
Now, yeah, yeah, now 2 years ago.
And speaking about another famous sport person that's Paralympian and Olympian, and he's actually, you probably know who I'm talking about. He's also like a guy, a shady guy from South Africa, and he's not in swimming, of course.
Yep,
Pistorius, I guess, right?
yep, hmm,
I don't know for our audience. So he, I guess, and he's missing legs from his knees down, both of them,
yep. I think so.
and he's doing running, and he's famous also worldwide for allegedly or provenly killing or doing something to his wife. I forgot, something like O.J. Simpson, I guess, story. And he was competing both Paralympics and Olympics. It doesn't happen so
Hmm.
often. In your case, do you know some swimmers that did this?
Yeah, Natalie Dutoit from also South Africa. Fun fact.
Okay.
She did that as well. She competed in Beijing 2008 Olympic and Paralympic Games, and she was amazing. I think in the Olympic marathon, she was like top 15 or something with people that didn't have a disability.
Mm-hmm. That's really. I can imagine her mindset, almost like yours. Like, oh, in the Olympics, I'm gonna give my best, like more than usual. Yeah.
She's amazing. I actually met her in Tokyo
Mm.
when we were there for the games, and she's just an amazing person. She's so chill, and she's very calm, and I think that's what was very good for her as a swimmer, because when you're that calm, you control your pulse. It doesn't go very high, too high, and you don't have to breathe as much, and that's always a plus in swimming.
Mm. So calm. Some people would say maybe she smoked or something, but since you said about the doping stuff, it's impossible. So it's just her psyche. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting. And coming to Paralympics, mentioning London, how was the experience of going to London and competing in the Paralympics? The organization, the people there, the greeting, everything. If you can explain.
Uh, it was amazing. I think to this day, London Paralympic Games are the best Paralympic Games so far,
2012,
at least
right?
for me. Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because they changed so much. Channel 4 had the rights to broadcast the Paralympic Games in the UK, and they changed so much because I think the London Games were the first that were broadcast so much. Like they I don't know. I want to say that they had 10 times the amount of hour of broadcast as the
Hmm.
previous games, like together. Probably
Oh,
they broadcast everything. They really did an amazing job, and the most important impact was not like, yeah, the games were amazing, honestly. And when you're there as a swimmer, 3 weeks in the Paralympic Village, it's just amazing. Like you you eat, you train, you sleep, and you wait for your race, and you hang out with all the other athletes. Like, yeah, I've met Pistorius there back then. He
really?
was a nice guy back then, not that nice anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was amazing. And the biggest legacy of the London Games was actually the people started to see people with disabilities not only as like social cases, but as actual human beings, as very good athletes. And it's changed the mindset. Like, it only happened to me there. We were walking around London one day, and a little girl came to me with a little notebook and asked for my autograph, because in London back
Wow.
then I wasn't a person with disability. I was an athlete. I was a very good athlete, and she wanted my autograph. And that's something that hopefully we'll see one day in the Balkans.
Uh,
Hopefully, but that's something that I experienced, and that's something I want to see happen during my lifetime in Croatia.
mm,
For not for me, of course, but for other new
Yeah.
athletes.
yeah. And the organization there carrying the flag and just going and the whole ceremony, how did it go?
The whole entire opening and closing ceremonies of the games, it's amazing. Like for our closing, we had Coldplay, Jay-Z, and Rihanna.
Whoa.
It was amazing. Like for opening ceremony, I think we had Stephen Hawking. Yeah, late Stephen Hawking.
Oh.
He was great. He gave a speech, and also Gandalf. Like, dude, Ian McKellen was there. Like, it was amazing. Like that feeling of like all those people from all those countries together at the same time. It just feels like unity. Honestly,
Mm.
like it's hard to explain. Like it sounds like a cliche, but it felt like the whole world was united at that single time.
You're right. I have this feeling I cannot explain to my girlfriend. Whenever the Olympics, I mean, first Olympics we watched was in Tokyo since we are together. Actually, I watched, and she's like, "Why are you so fascinated about it?" I was like, "So many people from different sports at the same place and promoting some really, I can say, unique values of unity, as you said, of equality and everything, and having equal Olympian and Paralympic games. That's amazing. And when you have World Cups, okay, it happens once in 2 4 years, depending on the sport. You have only that sport in one specific place, and that's it. This is like a global thing, bringing people together, and it's for me, it's fascinating. Just and whenever there's some new sport, I like, ooh, there's some new sport. Let's see what it's about. So for me, it's I also get like goosebumps at the beginning, like, ooh, what's going on, and the flag and everything. Also watched the Olympic Paralympic ones because of my friend in the South Korea and in China. So
Hmm.
this was the first Paralympic games that they watch in general. This was a Winter Paralympics, but the same spirit was there, and from your story, I can imagine how it was being there actually and being a competitor. That's a life achievement, I can say. Yeah.
Yeah. It really was. It's something special.
Do you plan, or you already did the tattoo of circles?
No circles. So the Olympic
Rings.
Olympic Games have the rings. We have the agitos.
Ah,
So
yeah.
Paralympic symbol is a bit different.
Mm-hmm.
It I wanted to get the tattoo of the Paralympic symbol, but now that I'm working for the IPC, it's kind of weird. Like it's like you getting a tattoo of Airbus. It's like, do I do it or not? So I
Ooh.
don't know. I'll see. Should I do it? Should I not do it? But I'll see.
Maybe in the future. But yeah.
Yep.
Very unique experience of being in the Paralympics, and you also, as you said, you were in Tokyo, but now
Mhm.
it's a good transition of, okay, you mentioned Paralympics a lot, and as our audience probably will guess by now, and from our intro, you're working there. So how was it of being there in Tokyo from the other side now, from the organization
It
side?
was people think that when you're an athlete, like it's hard because you're there and the pressure is on you, and like 20,000 people are looking at you at the swimming pool, and then like millions of people watching you on TV, and you're only in your speedos and you have to show up and be all manly and swim. But honestly, like after Tokyo, I have to say it was so easy to be a swimmer, like super easy to be a competitor, because
Really?
working for an event on such scale, and let's be honest, the Paralympic Games are the third most watched sports events in the world. So you have FIFA World Cup, you have the Olympic Games, and you have us. That's it.
Oh, I didn't know that so
And
many
yeah,
people
it's
watched it.
huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. Yeah, we have loads of more viewers than, let's say, baseball, the NBA finals and everything.
Well, I'm happy that it's
And
so. It should be,
it's
especially for the
great.
baseball. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like.
Who watches
Don't
baseball?
get it. Lasts for
Americans.
4 hours and nothing is going on. There's just something is going on. But leave it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so working there is, again, it's amazing because you have the same feeling of unity of all the elite athletes around you, and it's amazing to see old friends who are still competing. Like it was an amazing feeling, but it's hard. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was there for 22 days. For the first like 7 or 8 days, I worked 16 hours a day every single day, and you don't have weekends. You don't have any. You just work,
Mm,
because there's so much stuff to be done in order to secure the games to be as perfect as they could be for all the viewers that are watching it.
yeah. Whoa. And how long was it?
Uh, I think the competition itself was probably around. Uh, I was there a week before it started, so let's say around 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Did you get the chance
Mhm.
to check the Japan or?
Uh, it was the high time of Corona, so no,
Ah,
the Japanese government had very strict measures,
Mm,
which we respected, of course. I couldn't go to Tokyo. I've only the only time I was outside of the Olympic Village, because I slept there and worked there, was when I was going to the opening and closing ceremonies, because I worked there. And one time I went to the swimming pool because my friend from Croatia was swimming in the finals and he won a bronze medal for Croatia. So I had to go and cheer for him.
that's really nice. And
Yeah,
I'm
but
guessing
let's
he.
yeah,
Yeah.
Tokyo is one of the countries one of the cities I really want to go again,
Mm.
because what we the little that I've seen, it was amazing, and I really want to go back.
Who wouldn't? It's a new. It's a completely different planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we already had the one
yeah.
guest, and she explained the living there. Like she was from the Balkans, so she's from Albania. She explained how it was there for a couple of years. It's insane, totally different planet.
Like the combination of super advanced technology and very traditional, like people manners and architecture, like it just blows your mind. It's so different from everything. Like it's a huge culture shock, but a positive one.
Mm. Yeah. You just explain anime, like a lot of tech stuff with the cool buildings and stuff. Like at least few of them. There are some other ones, but not to digress. Um,
Yep.
and you are currently where? As you're working in the committee? Where are you right now?
Yeah, so the International Paralympic Committee is located in Bonn in Germany.
Mm-hmm. And why is it that in Lausanne, in Switzerland, like Olympic Committee?
We're not the same organization, so we're different
Uh-huh.
organizations, and therefore we don't have the same headquarters.
Okay.
So they are our partners, and we do a lot of projects together,
Mm-hmm.
especially like the games. But yeah, we are separate in everything.
What's also curious for me is the people working there. Are they? Sorry again for asking this, but as a person doesn't know anything about it, or at least not so much, are they all people working there with disabilities or not? Or
No, no, no.
uh-huh.
So we have around 140, 50 employees. I think there are like 6 of us, 7 with disability, something like that. Let's say less than 10, definitely.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Okay.
People, yeah, it's a societal issue. People with disabilities usually have it harder to get education because, let's say, I don't know, law school in Zagreb has 200 stairs. 200. They didn't have an elevator up until a few years ago. So if you are in a wheelchair, you cannot study law in Zagreb.
Phew.
And that's like just one of the examples why higher education is complicated for people with disabilities.
Oh, that's why.
So yeah. I mean, IPC is really supportive of people with disabilities and employees of disabilities, and we always want to have more of them. And people with disabilities are always encouraged to apply for all of our positions.
Mm-hmm. Internationally speaking, they can come wherever they want. When they apply for the position, they have
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
chance.
I mean, we are in Germany, but I think less than 30% of our employees are German. Like, they come from all over the world.
Mhm.
That's good to hear. That's a good environment to work in.
Yeah, it's very multicultural, and it teaches a lot of differences and a lot of how to say it. Like, it's just it's very unique. Like when you have, I think we have 49 nationalities at the moment at the IPC. So
Wow.
you can learn something every single day, something new from all around the world, which is amazing experience.
Can I guess you already have some Balkan crew in your company that you hang out with, or
Surprisingly not. Not really.
okay?
But yeah, one of my favorite colleagues was from Serbia, but sadly he left the IPC for FIS. He's in skiing.
For
Mhm.
what in skiing?
FIS,
Office.
their
Okay, yeah, the
yeah.
organization. Okay, I understand. Yeah,
hmm
yeah. And coming from Balkan country and mentioning the situation with faculty of law in Zagreb and how it was not meant for, unfortunately, for people with disabilities, how it is now when you live in Germany, in a Western country, and you compare the conditions here in West and back in the Balkans or Croatia in your case.
Um, it's not black or white. It's very gray. Like some stuff are better, a lot better. Let's say hand controls for your car. I drive an automatic, but I need hand controls because I don't drive with my feet. I drive with my hands.
Hmm.
In Croatia, you have to pay them for yourself. In Germany, the what do you call them? The Arbeitsagentur. So let's say
Um,
the Office for Employment,
yeah, yeah,
whatever.
right. Yeah, correct.
They paid for you fully because they have the logic, which is the correct logic. If he has a car, he can go to work, he can do his job, and he can pay taxes, and therefore they get money off me, which is actually great. In the Balkans, I think in every single country of ex-Yugoslavia, you have to pay them for yourself. So
Mm.
that's like better. But then again,
Sorry,
like
sorry
Zagreb,
for
yeah,
asking. Hand controls, meaning you not use your feet for brakes and gas.
yeah,
You use with your. Okay, got it. You were.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, like Bonn has 300,000 people. That's not a very big city, especially compared to Zagreb, especially compared to Belgrade.
Mm.
So
Not to
I
mention
think
Istanbul.
only, yeah, Istanbul especially. So I think in Bonn only one swimming pool is accessible, only one, where you can go with a wheelchair and get to the swimming pool, and that's it. Like I live 3 minutes from Bonn in Königswinter, and we have a new swimming pool that's fully accessible, which is great. But in Bonn itself, I think maybe one or maybe even zero swimming pools are accessible. So that's something that Zagreb has a lot better than Bonn. So it's really like some things are better, some things are not better. You just have to adapt.
Mm. Maybe you mentioned Bonn. Bonn is not like a typical city in Germany, so maybe in bigger cities in Germany that's a different case. I hope, yeah, or
Yeah,
capital.
yeah. I mean, I was in Berlin. Berlin is amazing and it's very accessible,
Mm.
honestly. But even in Berlin, some metro stations are not accessible. So it depends. Then again, Zagreb
Mm.
doesn't have a metro, so can't really talk about that.
Not compare, yeah, you're right. But as you mentioned with the metro, yeah, I'm also noticing in Hamburg from time to time they close it, and it's written because they're building it accessible to the people of with disabilities. And plus, on top, when you're driving on the metro, it's written like next stop has a symbol for people with disabilities that they
Hmm.
can get off or on this station. So not every
Yeah,
station,
yeah.
but it's
It's
written.
the same as in Bonn. I think they even renovated the station next to my office, so now it has a lift
Mm-hmm.
for people in a wheelchair or something.
Yeah. Honestly, when I compare Belgrade or any other bigger city in the Balkans, it's again depends on the city. Especially in capital cities, they have some accessible things, but most of them not. And again, as you said, there's different types of disabilities. Like for blind people, I heard some stand-up comedian from Serbia. Oh, it's a mess. It's total
Hmm.
mess, especially in Belgrade, and it's crowded and it's really a mess. And
Honestly, for me, the biggest problem in Belgrade were the hills. Like it's so
oh,
steep to go up and down. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Like without a car, I would not like to be a disabled person in Belgrade. Like that sounds awful.
well, in Zagreb as well, the in the city center near the square, it's also like hilly. At least that part. Yeah.
Yeah, but Zagreb, I have to say, like our late mayor
Mhm.
was not the best person ever,
By the way,
but
from
he,
Herzegovina. Coming back to the
yeah,
beginning of
by
the
the way,
episode.
from Herzegovina, but also he did a very good job with accessibility in Zagreb. So
Oh.
in Zagreb, a large part, I would say like 70% of trams are fully accessible. They're very low. You can get in with your wheelchair and stuff.
Mm.
That's something that I didn't find in many uh, capitals around Europe. So from that point, like the Zagreb city center is very accessible. Like
Hmm.
it's very lower, so you can go with your wheelchair
Mm.
around. That part of Zagreb is really really well done. So he did a lot of bad stuff, but that thing that he did was very good for people with disabilities.
Mm. I also noticed in the Balkans they are doing some changes, not enough for sure, but they are doing something. For instance, they have those trams. You mentioned the trams in Zagreb. There was a case of why Serbia didn't bought those trams because they have this U-like type of window which nobody noticed. No, you didn't know this.
No, I didn't hear about it.
Just for our audience and for you on it, so U is like a symbol for fascist in Croatia in World War II, and they kind of like saw the window, and this window looks like U. Like somebody saw, some paranoid guy saw it, and like, no, we're not buying those trams. So they bought some Spanish ones, but not to digress so much. Those ones are accessible and modern ones, but they still use some old ones. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There was a salt stuff, salt when you put salt in it. This I
Hmm.
don't know how they call it.
Uh-huh.
With the chef symbol. And in Turkey, at some point, people start saying that this guy looks like a leader of the terrorist organization, so it should ban. So people were buying that because it was very popular, and then it stopped completely because
I
it
mean,
just looked like him.
I mean, honestly, but like the Balkans and obsession with World War II, which was 80 years ago, like
Mm.
who cares? It's 2023. Like, come on.
Yeah, they didn't
Yeah.
sell many stuff, and they're still coming too far, so far away. Best, yeah, it's insane. But there's a lot of things that are wrong about Balkans, and some good stuff, as you mentioned. For instance, in Zagreb, in terms of accessibility, which is even better than in Bonn, like for the swimming pools. But what do you think in general for other countries in the Balkans? What's the general situation talking about sports and people with disabilities in sports?
Um, it's slowly getting there. Like,
Hmm.
let's go from west to east. Slovenia is doing great. Great job.
Like
But
everything, yeah.
yeah, but they have even less money than Croatian Paralympic Committee. Let's say, like, less people, less resources because they have fewer population. So
Mm.
yeah, that's that. Croatia is doing better. It's really like as much as I love to criticize Croatia, it's like night and day when compared to when I started swimming. So it's really a lot better for the kids nowadays to do any sports, not just swimming.
Mm-hmm.
Bosnia is a mess, as with everything else. Bosnians. I'm not sure if you know this. Bosnians are one of two best countries in sitting volleyball, in
I
para
know,
volleyball
and we are
ever.
trying to find some guys that are competing, and it's tough to find them. Yeah.
Uh,
If you have a contact,
I'll
please share with us. Yeah.
I'll get your contact by tomorrow. No, don't worry.
Great. You saved us a
Yeah.
lot.
So yeah, they are amazing. Them and Iran are the two best countries. I think they played in all but one final of Paralympic Games in the
Yeah.
last 20 years.
Yeah, I
They're
know. It's
amazing.
a derby. I know. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, they don't get the support that they need. They really don't. Like their training facilities are awful. But like it's Bosnia. It's a mess, and
Sadly, but true.
I won't even go into it because I have no idea how to solve it. It's complicated.
Mm.
Serbia is doing better and better. You have more and more athletes, especially in swimming. I think like when I was swimming, there were a couple of guys that were like 35 back then, 20 years ago, and that's it. But now you have younger people, and that's really good.
Nice.
So, and you have more and more athletes in different sports as well, which is great. That's always good to see. And Montenegro, I mean, again, they have like 600,000 people, so not a lot of athletes, not a lot of people with disabilities. So I'm not sure how the infrastructure there is, honestly. Who am I missing? North Macedonia. Yeah, I don't really know. They have a couple of athletes. They are working on it, but again, with all the problems they're facing with economy and everything, it's to be expected. But it's getting better. Like honestly, like I can compare when I started and now, and the amount of athletes you have, it's getting better in all of the countries, just not at the same rate.
What do you think so? Is it because it's a general global trend, or people are getting more aware of the situation and want to support their citizens?
Um,
Or both?
Or
I
EU
mean,
pushes them.
Or EU, yeah.
EU pushes you definitely. But again, when you have a ton of issues like Croatia, Serbia, Bosnia have, like sport is not really a priority, and Paralympic sport is definitely not a priority.
Only football.
So
And that's...
yeah. I mean, even in football, like Croatia doesn't have a football camp for their national team, and we were second and third in the last World Cups. Like we just started. I think they just announced that they will start building the national camp for the national team.
And Serbia is building the second one because the old one is not good enough, obviously, or something. I don't know, just, again, money laundering or something.
Yeah. I mean, but in the end, we don't have the system. Like in Germany, kids can do everything. You can try out everything. My boss's kid does golf. He's 8, but he wanted to try golf, and there's a golf club right here near Bonn, which has like 300,000 people, and he has a golf club and he can try out golf. And that's amazing. They have a system where you can do amateur sport wherever. In the last village on somewhere,
it's
at least
expensive.
they have a ski club.
It's not expensive.
It's not expensive. It's very affordable, and that's something that Germany does great. You have very affordable sports for kids, and they can try every single thing. And then you have a bigger hubs. Let's say for football, I know they do. They have bigger hubs when they see the kids from villages are very good. They ask them to come to those national team hubs in a larger area, and then they train there to see if they're good and if they can advance their career. But the accessibility of sports to kids here in Germany is amazing. They can try every single sport they want, and that's great. And it costs them like 10 euros, 20, let's say.
Yeah, even big companies or stuff like you can just be part of it and just pay and choose a sport. Like my colleague told me like yesterday, in my company, you can choose whatever sport you want, tennis, basketball. You pay, I think, 70 euros per year. And even karting, but you need to pay additionally because of the gas that you spend. But nevertheless, it's really affordable for everyone. And in the Balkans,
I remember in the school, like there were on my school, there were only basketball and football, and they were all together. I mean, if someone playing football, you cannot play basketball, and it was just concrete. I mean,
they take the space for the others, and then you need to change.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, do you know at least, Mati, how is it like in other Balkan countries? In Albania, is for instance, is Kosovo part of the Paralympic Committee? I guess it is since it's part of Olympic one.
Uh, their status is I'm not sure, and I don't want to tell something that's not right.
Mm-hmm.
But so I'm not sure if they have the right to vote or something in the meetings, but they are working on their membership,
Mm-hmm.
and they can compete at the Paralympic Games.
Okay.
I'm not sure if they have the full membership yet, but they're working on it.
Mm. I mean, our opinion here on our channel, on our show is okay. We don't go into politics so much. We comment it, but as long as person in this case is willing to play sports and to compete, no matter the background, if you're also coming from Russia and you have been doping or you're a refugee and stuff, we fully support that you can compete. And there's you should without a flag, but at least it's a spirit of the sport. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
should not be.
I know. Yeah, that's something that the IPC and the IOC don't agree on, let's say.
Oh.
The IOC has their right. The IOC says like we will have Russian athletes or we won't have Russian athletes, and that's final.
Mm-hmm.
And we let our membership decide. So our national Paralympic committees have a vote if they want the for the current political situation, if they want Russian and Belarusian athletes to compete at the next Paralympic Games or not. And I think that's fair. I think that's more fair because that's democracy.
Mm.
Our members decide what if they want to compete against those athletes or not, and that's it.
In the Olympic Committee, they didn't vote. They just made a
No.
decision, unilateral one. Okay.
Yeah. The like the board just reached a decision, and that's final.
No. And the situation with other countries in the Balkans, like Greece, Bulgaria, in your case, on it, Turkey.
Uh-huh. Uh, they're actually pretty good. Like Turkey has some great Paralympians in multiple sports. Greece is very good in swimming, especially.
Mm-hmm.
They're really really good there. So yeah, I don't follow a lot of sports. I know something about them, but yeah, I follow a lot of swimming. And Greece had a couple of very very talented swimmers.
Mm-hmm. And
I remember like a few years ago or last year, I'm not really sure. Turkey Paralympic football team was the world champion or European champion, and
Nice.
the final was in Turkey, and they appointed one of the biggest stadiums, and it was the almost full. The people were there because the all media uh, and the government supported them at the finals. Of course, not before. In the before we didn't even know that. But in the finals, it was really good atmosphere for them, and yeah, they were in the European or world champion.
I can only
That's
guess.
amazing.
I can only guess why was it so popular? Because last time you did some world competition or European competition it was like 20 years or more ago. So that's why, like, oh, we have Paralympians. Okay, we'll support them. Yeah, since other ones are not
But
doing good.
in the finals, well, in the finals,
In the finals, of course. Yeah. I mean, sadly,
the
only
last
then.
game. Yeah, last game. Okay, you did good. So
When you have the chance to get some medal, then we'll watch you. Yeah, it's a sad
yeah,
one, but yeah, that's how it goes.
Balkan mentality 101.
Exactly, as you
yeah.
said. But I'm hoping as well that it will change for better. You also said there are some positive changes. Like from I can say for myself, I noticed like a couple of years ago. Okay, they're competing. I see on the TV they promote them. Unfortunately, again, only when they win the medals. But between those two competitions, you don't hear anything about it. And let's hope it will make better. It will come better and become better at some point.
Honestly, as I said, it's all about education. Croatia had an amazing program, really amazing. It's called Paralympic School Day, where Paralympians would go into schools and talk to kids and hang out with kids. And let's say I was taken to third class, whatever, so kids 9, 10 years old. And I would just stand there in front of them. I would be in my shorts so they can see my prosthetics, and we would talk. And the kids are amazing because like they're not bad. They're just they want to know more, and they ask you like,
Curious.
But how do you cook with only 2 fingers? And then I tell them how I cook. But how do you drive a car? Then I tell them how I drive a car. Can we touch your prosthetics? Of course you can. And that's the thing. Only with education you can make some changes, and only if you educate the kids. Like us old goats, we won't change anymore. That's it. Like what we know, we know. We will change like
Hey, don't be so serious.
10%.
Yeah, at least something. Yeah, not.
Yeah, we will change a bit, but we can't be influenced as much as kids. Well,
Mm,
not influenced, but educated. So I really love that program. That was something that I wholeheartedly supported.
mm,
And I think it should be in every single country in the world, because
Yeah.
people just like I don't know for Serbia, but in Croatia, you don't really have representation on TV, or well, kids don't watch TV, but let's say YouTube shows or whatever.
mm,
There's not really a lot of people with disabilities in the media where you can see them, where you can learn something about them. So having that experience and having that opportunity to talk to kids in schools where
mm,
on their territory. And we also like always brought some sport equipment. So let's say we brought a couple of wheelchairs for basketball, so they could try how to do wheelchair basketball. And it was always amazing for them because it's something they can try out, and then again afterwards, after talking to you, after trying out the sport, they understand, and then
mm,
it's not that big of a deal. And that's something I really want to do with my life. I just want to
mm,
people to understand that being disabled, yeah, you're different, but it's nothing bad.
mm,
Like in Zagreb, I have multiple times, or wherever in Balkans, where like a kids would point at me at the street, like, "Oh, why does he walk like that?" or whatever. And the moms would just like, "Oh, don't look at that, don't look the other
Yeah.
way." And that's not like, I want the kid to ask that. And
uh-huh.
the parents are like embarrassed, like, "Oh, I hope he didn't hear us." But I want to answer the question, like, I
Mm,
walk like this because I wear orthoprosthetics, and that's the only like that's the only place that the only way we can make a change in the
Hmm.
society. But again, yeah, you have the parents that are like, "Yeah, yeah, it's shameful, don't look at that," and that's it.
yeah, people.
Because they also don't know how to approach.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
they also
exactly.
know. Unfortunately, they should know. And when you said you also put them in chairs, wheelchairs to see how it goes, I hope you told them not to cheat when they grow up, as the other
Yeah, yeah,
ones.
of
Yeah.
course.
So,
In Izmir, in my hometown in Turkey, the city built a center that was an empathy center,
mhm. Oh.
and there was uh, multiple exhibitions or stuff that you can try about being disabled at different time. And the school started taking the kids there. And my brother also works in a school, and they were also taking every class there every year. And I hope it will happen in other cities as well, because it was
Mhm.
only the city's approach in my hometown.
Hmm.
Because Izmir is always modern, and not to brag, but like, yeah, always ahead. I can also say that what I experienced, and you also mentioned, Matija, that okay, us older guys and girls are not so like keen into learning new stuff and understanding new stuff. But nevertheless, there are some opportunities. Okay, I'll not mention this thing for again youngsters, but like in Hamburg, I don't know if you heard about museum. It's called Dialog im Dunkel, so in English,
Hmm.
dialogue in the dark. It's amazing. You understand basically how the people that don't see, so the blind people, how they live. You get inside, you get a stick, you don't get any glasses, you go inside and it's super dark, you don't see anything in front of you.
Hmm.
A group is like 5 to 10 people, and you have a guide, which later on turns out that all the guides are also blind people. Again, really
Wow.
unique stuff to experience. And you go through different zones, so to say. You go in one, you hear like birds. You're in the forest. You hear the river. You step on the little wooden bridge. Then you go into some random room. Then you feel the stuff, and you say what you feel in the room. Then you go on a boat. Then you lie down on the boat, and it's kind of like goes on the sides on while you're riding on the river. And multiple things in multiple situations on the street, how you pass the street, sounds like car approaching you. It's really unique. And by the end of it, you sit down in a restaurant. Again, you don't see anything. It leads you to the cashier. You buy something, you go and sit, and then you talk to this guy. You also, throughout the whole trip, he talks with you, says what you do now, what you see now. He mentioned a lot of times what you see now, on purposely, because then you
Hmm.
notice, like, oh, that this happens to him and to all the other people. They all the times they mention, so you're on the boat, you see this and this. No, you don't. People need to explain you what's going on, so you understand. Okay, everything around me I need to be explained. Then they ask what questions we can ask. Like he said, you can ask me any questions you want. Then it come up to my mind, okay, how it is when you go to Rome, to Moscow, to wherever abroad, and how do you experience it? The Brian alphabet, is it different in other languages? And there were some questions that I asked him, me personally, because you see, we have podcasts, we ask questions. So I asked a lot of questions that he didn't know to answer, because they were like kind of like not understandable, because he doesn't. I'm asking from my perspective as a person is seeing.
Hmm.
I cannot remember which one was it, but I noticed the discrepancy there, and I was like, wow. And it, again, I will use this expression, in open my eyes, in okay, in a metaphorical sense. I kind of like felt how it was. I could never live that life for sure, luckily, but I kind of understood. And there were some questions people never thought about, and like, why do they all not carry dogs? Like, dogs really help a lot. Like, and he said, just, do you think other people, all the people like dogs? There are also some blind people that don't like dogs, like, or are afraid of
Yeah.
them. Like, oh, right, you're right. And it's experience, it taught me a lot. And I also, some people ask as well question, so if I see a blind person on the street, should I approach if I want to, and how should I approach? Should we say, hey, can I offer a help, and will I offend him or something? They say, every time, for every disabled person, he said, every disabled person, you just approach and say in a nice way, do you need the support? If he says no, it's okay. If he says yes, then please. It's not a big deal if you say it. Just say it. Sometimes he doesn't, or you not offend him or anything. Hurt his or her feeling. I don't know about you, Matija. That's what he said. Is it true in the end?
Yeah, it's 100% true. So
Mm-hmm.
here in the IPC, we have an employee resource group
Mm-hmm.
which specializes. We have several of them. One is the Disability Employee Resource Group, and we are working on like a small presentation for new employees, which covers those stuff. Like, yeah, it's okay. Just don't start helping without telling the person you're there. Because what
Mhm.
happened to my colleague, she has a very low wheelchair. So she was going up the ramp to our work, and the colleague saw her, came behind her, and started pushing her. But she didn't expect it, so she fell out of her wheelchair, which is not ideal. I mean, yeah, it's funny. Yeah, for me, I can laugh, you can't, haha.
Mm-hmm.
But it's tricky. You just actually, yeah, it's not tricky. Just come to the person, say hi, I'm Matija, can I help? Do you need a hand or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. Like it's so simple.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's great that people actually think about those stuff. Like as you said, like that museum opened your eyes, and now you see the that part of society or whatever in a slightly different light, and now you understand.
Different, huge, big difference. Yeah, sure. And actually, not him, but this stand-up comedian, I forgot his name, from Serbia. He's blind, and he said people didn't ask him. They just came and grabbed him, and he was coming to the bus, and he hit his head or something. And he was like,
Oof.
if he
Yeah,
only asked me, like, I would say no, it's okay. But he just grabbed me, and yeah,
yeah.
just first ask and then do everything in life. Also, when you approach a girl or something, don't be just rude.
Yeah,
Just be polite at the
just
beginning.
ask. Like
Just ask.
it takes 1 second. Like, do you need help? That's
Yeah,
it.
and nobody will get offended. Nobody will get like, yeah.
Exactly. And if they do get offended, it's not your problem, it's their
Ah,
problem.
right.
Because yeah, I mean, people are always individuals and they can react individually, but like if they get offended by you asking if they need help, it's not on you, and please don't stop doing it because of one bad experience.
Mm,
It's maybe they have a bad day, maybe their
Yeah.
mentality is not
true,
in the right place. Yeah, but yeah.
true. We're all humans. Yeah.
Yeah.
Onat, something from your side?
Maybe we can go about more the the Paralympic Committee. What are you doing there in
Mm.
general? Uh,
Yeah, so I'm a brand coordinator for the Paralympic Committee. So I'm the guy that basically, if you want to use our Paralympic symbol for anything, I'm the one that will be responding to your email asking how do you plan on using it, what is the purpose, is it commercial, is it editorial, is it blah blah blah. I'm also in charge of two different projects. One is the team uniform approval projects. So for all the teams in the world that compete in the Paralympic Games, they have to submit their team uniforms for all the sports and for opening and
Hmm.
closing ceremonies and for casual wear in the Paralympic Village. They have to submit their designs to me, and then I have to review all those designs and see if they are applicable or not, if they're okay, if they're within the guidelines. And the third project that I'm leading currently is the NPC emblem project. So in 2019, the Paralympic symbol slightly changed, and therefore all of the National Paralympic Committee emblems have to change as well. So I'm currently doing that project as well. I'm helping all the NPCs to replace the old symbol and maybe change the entire design if needed.
Sorry, MPC stands for?
National Paralympic Committee.
Okay.
So let's say National Paralympic Committee Serbia, National Paralympic
Ah,
Committee Croatia, etc.
got it. And the symbol you said is different than the circles. What does it represent?
Uh, that's a very good question. So the symbol represents some sort of movement, but it's been changed a few times. I think first we had the Korean taegyok, something like that. I'm probably butchering Korean. Then we had the Agitos first version, and now we have the second version of the Agitos. We just in 2019 the Agitos just modernized a bit. The colors are a bit lighter, and actually the colors are now exactly the same shade as the Olympic rings, the three colors.
Mm.
So it's just more sustainable. When you're printing, you're not using more color and stuff like that.
I
Hmm.
see. And what does agitos means?
It's in, I think, Greek,
Greek,
and
yeah.
I'm not really sure.
Sounds.
Or yeah, something like that. It's something with movement, but
Mm.
yeah, my Greek is terrible. So
My Greek is zero, so
yeah,
oh,
mine too.
I can say Kalispera, Gyros, Patos. Patos is not
Yeah,
Greek, probably, but and that's it.
Patos is a sandwich in Turkey with a potato.
Ah, really? In Serbia, patos means
Just potato.
means floor. Ah,
Uh-huh.
just potatoes. So rich
Yeah,
sandwich.
just like a. Yeah, again, when you're a student with
Ah,
with no money.
got it. Got it. Yeah. Speaking about money and opportunities in the Balkans, in general, not only sports, how do you see? Will it change for the better? The national Paralympic committees and, in general, the sports for people with disabilities in the Balkans.
yeah, they have to. Like they. I mean, honestly, like we were all on level 0, so it can't really be worse. And it's really improving, I have to say. Like Slovenia is doing great, Croatia is doing great, Serbia is really improving as well.
Yeah,
Like
Serbia.
there is improvement. As I said, not at the same rate. Like one year one do a little more, the next year some others do a bit more, but it is improving. Like when I was a kid and compared to today, it's day and night. It's a huge improvement, and I'm happy to see the improvement.
Yeah, we came to the same conclusion based on previously what you said. But I should have asked you, where are the obstacles actually? Do you see any obstacles in future development?
Honestly, I don't know. Like we need. I mean, people are always the obstacles. People that don't understand, people that don't want to understand. That's always a thing. Um, I mean, let's set an example. I won't name names, but one politician, during one of the Paralympic Games, when I was next to him, asked. So a Paralympic sport is football five-a-side, which is played by people with visual impairment, blind people. And his comment was, so the Minister of Sports, his comment was, why are they playing football? They're blind. And someone replied, yeah, but they can play football. But why? isn't it hard for them? Why aren't they staying at home? So that was the minister of sports in Croatia a couple of years ago.
Staying at home.
So and that's someone that actually decides how much money you get on the yearly level, what's your budget, and etc. So it's just people. If you have the right people at the right places, things will go along. If you don't, it's not gonna be good.
True. And as you mentioned before, it's getting better, and the tendency globally is like that. Like I noticed something that's also a fun fact. Probably you know, since you're a really informative guy, or concerning the astronauts. And
Hmm.
you probably heard about this. That for the first time ever, we're gonna have like a para astronaut.
Yeah.
So I guess he's from the UK, and he's also like Paralympian. He did, I think, half marathon or something with running, and he's
Hmm.
now into medicine and European ESA. So it's like a European EU's version of NASA. They're sending 18 astronauts and one para astronaut, and the
Hmm.
goal for him is to see for the first time. And I guess his disabilities, he's missing half of his leg, something like this.
I think so. Yeah, I think he has one prosthetic.
Yeah. He had a motorcycle accident, and he will be basically his experiment will there be, or his research to see how like a person with disability will act and behave in space, which is also interesting thing. Never before have they tried, and I'm all for it. Like, why not give an equal chance and see how it will go? Especially when you're zero gravity there. I mean, yeah. In that case, maybe it will not so be hard. Now I'm thinking out loud. I don't know. Have you ever thought about this, Matija? How it be in space?
Yeah, zero G sounds amazing, especially for me. I mean, I can't walk without prosthetics,
Mm,
so like being free and moving, like, yeah, you get the similar feeling when you're under the water. Like I used to do
true.
scuba diving, and that's an amazing feeling,
Mm,
honestly. If you're disabled, that's so great because you can actually like walk on the bottom of the sea, and it's great. So something like that would be amazing to feel. And I'm just surprised they didn't get a para astronaut sooner, honestly, because if you're spending like $400 million for a space station, you can spend another $5,000 to make it more accessible for
mm,
one guy with one prosthetic. It's not that hard.
mm.
So why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. I mean, they had some reasons because the program was not so much developed. Okay, they were sending together on this international mission together with Russia, with US, and other ones. But right now, they're building first ever like a big EU crew and EU
Hmm.
program Artemis, together with US, of course. But now it's getting more and more. It's bigger than it was before, and now they're starting including people with disabilities, which is
Yeah,
amazing.
I mean, the technology is moving forward, and the
Sure.
orthopedics technology is also moving forward. Like prosthetics are better than ever,
Mm,
and you have more movement, you have more capabilities. Like, I don't know, 30 years ago you couldn't drive with a prosthetic.
mm.
Now you have those specially movable feet on your prosthetic which you can drive with. So yeah, things are going forward.
And you're having exoskeletons now, and people are
Yeah.
doing amazing stuff. I have a friend, he's from Zagreb, but he's doing PhD in robotics in Ljubljana. And not just him, other people are developing lots of things that will be attached to people. We will be having sort of cyborgs, but nevertheless in the everyday life it will be much easier. And yeah, I'm all for it as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
It will
I
lead.
mean,
Yeah, please.
mhm. Go ahead, please.
I just had in mind that it's a really messy one. Now, the biggest issue in sports is how to include people that change genders. Probably in the future
Yeah.
will be like how to include cyborgs, what to do with them. Most likely, but we'll see. Yeah. And you wanted to
Yeah,
say
we'll
something?
see. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest changes here is our 3D printers, because they are
Yeah.
becoming more and more accessible, easier to buy, and affordable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a guy in Zagreb that does prosthetics for people that don't have hands, because like I don't know, general usual companies that do the prosthetics can charge you, I don't know, 5,000, 10,000 euros for a hand,
Mm-hmm.
and he can print you one for like 300 euros, and it works. It's actually the same. Like, he did the
Hmm.
drawings in AutoCAD, he prints it out,
Nice.
and it works. So people are really crushing the barriers and disrupting the current foundations of this,
Mm-hmm.
and it's great. I think every disruption of an old of the older ways, it's great, and it's always positive, and it will lead to something better. Because if the prosthetic doesn't have to be 10,000 euros, if you can print it at home for 300, then do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. There's also some stupid stuff. I saw some people inventing extra thumb that is movable, that's controllable, and you have a thumb on the opposite side of your hand. I was like, why would you need this? And they have
I think I
commercials.
saw that.
It's
Well,
insane.
who knows? I haven't seen that. I might give it a try though. We'll see.
Go for it. Go for it. Yeah. Yeah. Onat, do you have something more to ask?
Actually, we covered all my questions for now, but if you have,
Yeah, I have one last from my side. What would you say to the people in general, especially for people from our region, not only with disabilities, also some people having a tough time in life, and to motivate them to push forward and to achieve greatness or to achieve happiness at least? What would you tell them?
That's a double-edged sword. That's something
Mm,
I'm actually trying
I did this on purpose.
not to avoid, but like one big issue with Paralympians and people with disabilities is the inspiration porn. So people always look at you and think you're so inspirational. You're doing this, you're doing that, and I'm just like walking and going to training. It's like everything that other swimmers do as well.
Mm,
It's not that big of a deal.
mm,
So I get it that to some people it is inspirational because it's different. But for me, let's say my life, like I'm currently in a wheelchair because I was too lazy to put on my prosthetics because I'm at home and I don't want to be uncomfortable.
mm,
But like that's not inspirational per se. It's just uh, Charles Darwin, like survival of the fittest. You adapt to your environment, you adapt to your circumstances, and that's it. And that's something that I'm trying to, like that's my basically my life philosophy.
mm,
If I see a problem, if I can resolve it, I will resolve it. If I cannot resolve it, if it's out of my hands, there's no point of being stressed about it. Like let's try something else. And that's my only approach. And that's my advice to all the people. Like if you come with an issue, if you have something like that, there's no point in crying about it at home. Like if I was like that, I would still be at home in Zagreb, wouldn't finish high school
yeah,
probably,
mm.
and would play with my Legos all day and be useless.
Hmm,
But like, what's the point of crying all day and being at home? Like
mm,
there's no point to it. If
yeah,
you have a problem, try to fix it if you can. If it's out of your hands, it's out of your hands. Who cares then? Try something else, and that's it. Like
true.
there's no point in stressing about different scenarios, whatever. Like if you can fix it, you will fix it, and it's gonna be hard until you fix it, but after you do it, it's gonna be great.
Mm. True, and people will have tough times no matter what, and it will last longer or shorter. But we can lose this famous quote or yeah slogan from Nike. Although I don't like to commercialize anyone, but just do it is the most simplest one,
Yeah,
and it has everything in it. Just
yeah,
do it, and just be persistent. You will achieve or go try something else. As simple
yeah.
as
I mean,
this.
exactly. Like I'm severely disabled. Let's not be yeah. Let's be frank. I have 100% disability in Croatia and in Germany. So
Mm,
yeah, and I tried scuba diving because I wanted to try it, and why not? And it can be done. So yeah, if you want to go and try bungee jumping, just do it.
mm, yeah.
this is probably scientifically proven. Crying doesn't solve anything.
As simple as this.
So yeah, I mean, so it is scientifically proven. So what is the meaning of trying something already proven?
Mm,
Yeah, I mean,
Just
if I start and compare myself to people that are like 2 meters tall, have both legs, have both arms, like what would be the use of it? There's no use of it. Like I will not feel better. They will not, I don't know, wake up without legs, so I feel better. There's no point in doing that. Like
mm.
all I can do is try to be better every single day and try to do something with my life and make it better. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, you can say Matija Grebenic. Why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Why
Why
not?
not?
Honestly, I had this thing with Onat when I was explaining. your situation, just for him to understand who will be our guest. I was like, he said, what was his disability? Honest question. I was like, to be honest, I'm not completely sure, because when I met him, he was moving okay. We were in the club. Okay, we first met at the apartment of our friend, and then went to the club. I was like, he is really, yeah, easygoing guy, communicative, funny, knowledgeable in basic every topic we talked about. And yeah, at one point you were tired and you said, and then they told me because of his, not prosthetics again, is it
Yeah, it's
orthopedics?
fine. Prosthetics.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, oh really? So that's it. I was like, don't know, didn't notice, to be honest. And it was
Yeah,
actually
I mean, I can't blame you that you didn't notice. Like after 3 whiskeys, I danced like the world-class dancer. So.
So you see, yeah, okay, but in the end, you're right, whiskey as well. And I also heard that it's your favorite drink. Some little
Yep.
birdie told me. Luckily, we didn't drink it now, but let's hope we'll meet in person again, either Zagreb, Belgrade, Hamburg, wherever in the world.
Definitely.
Yeah. If yeah, thank you again, Matija. That was a really insightful episode. We really enjoyed it. Hopefully, our audience will also like it. They can also comment if they have some questions. I hope you'll answer them. And we wish you all the best in your career, in your future work, in your inspiring other people, and just pursuing your dream.
Thank you guys for having me. It's been a blast, and I hope the viewers will enjoy.
Yes, they will definitely enjoy, and we also will add everything, every link that related about the organization and also about you, so they can reach out and get more knowledge if they are willing. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and it was a really informative episode for me.
Great.
Yeah,
I'm glad to help.
let's hope we meet in person soon.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just spoiler alert. I will be in Germany as well.
Yeah, you see.
Oh, awesome.
So
Then it's a deal.
accessible for sure. Not to forget, Onat, every time we forget, for all of our audience, both audio and video, please do the already known stuff.
So the things that in the videos on YouTube, like subscribe, like, comment,
the bell button,
share,
everything what you find, that dislike, just interact. Just interact with us. Right.
Click on all the buttons that you can find.
Also, write to us what you didn't like, and in the end, also support us with Buy Me a Coffee or Patreon. So yeah, for other content, and also if you also like to ask some other questions, you can also find Matija on social media, and yeah, to be more informative about being a Paralympian and the Paralympics committee.
Yep.
If possible, Matija, we didn't ask you for the permission.
Yeah, it's sure.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm always here to talk about whatever people might want to know.
Yeah, great then. Then have a nice evening, and see you all soon.
Thanks. See you.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone. Bye bye.